The question I think that we really got to start off here with, we've heard all the skeptics, the valuation's too high, the stock's overbought, it's a cyclical business, but still, Nvidia just keeps moving higher and higher. What could potentially stop the momentum that this chip maker has?
Frank, that's such a good point. And I think taking a look at some of the trading activity, I didn't see a lot of skepticism out there last week in terms of the options activity, the stock activity. And right now, I don't think a lot of people are looking at that downside case and the prospect of this cycle being over. Instead, investors are telling me we think this is like when the internet first launched decades ago, which kicked off spending and a tech boom that lasted years. I think that's the scenario that more people are eyeing right now.
All right, so people are eyeing that. Pedro, I'm going to come over to you. Do you see any obstacles, speed bumps, potholes on this road for Nvidia to keep moving higher? Because no matter what the concerns are, we even saw some profit taking before the last earnings report, the stock just continues to power higher.
I think whoever is thinking that this is a bubble clearly is not understanding the full picture very well, right? From a fundamental standpoint, the company is trading at only 30 times forward earnings, which is slightly above the company's growth rate. The company is expected to make $110 billion in top-line revenue next year, 70% gross margins, mid-40s when it comes to free cash flow margin. So very, very well positioned from a fundamental standpoint. But even from a competitive standpoint, the company is going to be able to maintain a 60+% market share within the next 5 years or so. Today, bear in mind that they have 80–90% market share. And that moat is not only coming from the hardware side, but also from the software side with their CUDA platform, which really is a key part here for the moat.
So, Pedro, you manage a number of ETFs that have Nvidia as a holding, whether it's a top holding or just part of the holdings in that ETF. I just want to ask you, we're looking at the Fed's favorite inflation gauge coming up later this week, PCE. Is the Fed at all a factor when we look at Nvidia's momentum? Seeing these rate cuts continue to get pushed out, does that impact this stock in your mind at all?
I think when we think about artificial intelligence and generally speaking about a lot of these structural trends that are really impacting our economies, our societies, these are really long-term investment opportunities. So yes, while in the short term, we're going to be paying attention to kind of what's going to happen on the interest rate side of things, on the inflation side of things, I think for investors really trying to capture these opportunities long term, that's going to be not as important, right? When it comes to artificial intelligence, I think we all can agree that this is going to be one of those paradigm shifting technologies of our times. They're going to add about $16 trillion in GDP growth over the next 5 years or so. So I think that's really the opportunity that investors should be looking for instead of focusing in the short term.
So, Gunjan, your new story on the Wall Street Journal titled "Surging Nvidia Stock Keeps Drawing in More Believers." And certainly that seems to be true, again, from the stock moving higher. I want to come to the other side of that, though. S3 Partners, they put out some great research last week saying that short sellers, they lost about $3 billion following that blowout earnings report from Nvidia. So give me a sense. When you look at the push and the pull of people who are doubters and believers, what's going to keep people still investing in this stock? What do you think needs to happen?
Right, Frank, I think the momentum is really at the stock's back right now. And that doesn't mean we don't see some volatility in the short term. I mean, this is a stock that's moving around like crazy and has been prone to really, really explosive one-day moves. But right now we're seeing people bet that the momentum will continue. And what happens is there's kind of a snowball effect where traders were telling me the stock has rallied so much. People see that it's rallied a lot. They see that they're bullish options trades. By the way, traders spent more than $20 billion betting on Nvidia in the options market last year. They see that those trades have paid out. So that draws even more investors into Nvidia stock. And that's what's happening right now. And right now, I think a lot of people are betting that it's going to continue because let's not forget, to your point about S3 Partners, betting against the stock has been a losing trade. Betting against the Magnificent Seven has not worked. So that sent short interest activity around all of those tech behemoths to some of the lowest levels on record.
So, Pedro, last question. I'm going to come over to you. You manage two ETFs, the bots. Nvidia is more than 20% of the holdings there. And then you manage the AIQ. You're going to cap all the Magnificent Seven names at about 3%. I want to ask you about the latter there. Why cap any of them? I mean, you believe that AI has a long way to go. You mentioned that the moat that Nvidia holds right now. Why not make Nvidia 20% of all the ETFs you manage?
That's a great question, Frank. The reality is that when we think about artificial intelligence, it's not only about Nvidia. It's not only about the Max 7 companies. We're just at the very beginning of the AI cycle, and there are going to be so many companies that really stand to benefit. Actually, we believe that the hardware layer, what we're seeing today with Nvidia and the Max 7 companies benefiting, is not the main vertical that it's going to benefit the most. We actually believe the interface companies, the companies that are going to allow consumers and businesses to experience this paradigm shifting technology, are the companies that are going to accrue the most value on the equity front. So we're thinking about software as a service companies like Adobe, software as a service companies like ServiceNow, and even beyond Nvidia on the hardware side, you're going to have companies like Qualcomm, Broadcom. So really allowing investors to capture the full opportunity ahead with a cap at those Max 7 companies that you described really allows investors to have a very diversified basket and exposure to these companies.